Welcome to the Tone Show, guys. I just finished watching The Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 3, The Cell. And it was a tough one. It was a tough one. A lot of things happened in this episode. And from the beginning, the title of the episode, The Cell, automatically we think, oh my God, obviously, duh, it's about Daryl and the fact that Daryl's in the cell because he was taken captive by Negan in Episode 1 of Season 7. But as the episode unravels, we find out that actually it's a lot more people who are in a cell in addition to Daryl. So from the beginning, the song that's playing, it talks about all the cruel, don't apologize for the cruel things that you do. And we see that Dwight is living really good as one of Negan's people. He's making himself a sandwich and helping himself to everybody else's things in order to make the sandwich. It looked like quite a delicious sandwich, by the way, by Walking Dead standards. He had fresh eggs. On the other half of that, we see the contrast because while Dwight's making a nice fresh sandwich, at the end of the process, we see that he gives a dog food sandwich to Daryl, who's in a cell. So Dwight, delicious egg sandwich with pickles and tomatoes and lettuce. And Daryl, well, you get dog food, my friend. So from the beginning, we saw there's a lot of contrast in this episode, and that's definitely one of the big pieces that we see the contrast between Dwight and Daryl. And at first we think, well, it's just the difference between these two characters. But as the episode goes along, we find out that actually it's more of a before and after. It's not this contrast, but this is where Dwight started. Dwight is also in a cell, just like Daryl. And as the episode unravels, we see more and more of that. Then we move on. So the music that was playing in Daryl's cell kept talking about Easy Street. So the question is Daryl on Easy Street because he's getting served dog food meals and he doesn't have to do anything for it? He's being clothed in nasty sweaters and being fed dog food meal? Or is he on Easy Street? It's actually they're just being sarcastic and saying the fact that Daryl has it hard because he's in his cell 24/7. And Daryl's handling it like Daryl handles it. Looks like Daryl has taken a lot of abuse in his life. I'm not sure if you remember his brother Earl. He used to treat him like crap. So it seems like he was basically ready for this type of situation. But even for Daryl, things are looking really glim, really dark. Okay, so moving on. So yeah, he's eating the dog sandwiches, and we see that when it comes to respect, that Dwight gets a lot of Negan respect. It looks like when Negan shows up, everybody kneels like the king is there. But it looks like there's a lot of perks to being Negan's man. And in this episode, we find that out because not only is Dwight making himself a nice, delicious sandwich, he also, when you notice when he walked through the halls with Daryl as his captive, the people who were working and sweeping the floors, they all moved out of his way, kind of like the king is here. So a lot of that Negan juice falls on Dwight. And remember when he took Daryl to get a checkup because obviously he's living like crap, and there's a woman there, and we see that she just had a pregnancy test, which looked like it was negative. But you can tell it was tense that moment, that there was definitely a relationship between between Dwight and the woman who just had the pregnancy test. And if you remember back to last season, it was Dwight, her, and another woman who were actually encountered by Daryl when they ended up taking all his stuff, including his bow. So you can tell it was history there when she looked at Dwight and Dwight asked her about the pregnancy test. And later on, we find out that that's actually Dwight's ex-wife. And that he like Daryl's also in the cell. Looks like when he ran away, he did a big no-no. And Negan, in order to punish him, gave him that ugly, horrendous, grotesque scar that he has on his face. Looked like it was an iron. From what the episode described, that's what happened to his face. So it looks like that he's breaking in Daryl. He's breaking in Daryl. He's trying to break his spirit and make him like he is. But at the beginning, we think Dwight's just this evil dude who's following Negan. But as the episode unravels more and more, we see that, you know what, Dwight's really a merciful dude, and he's been in the same situation as Daryl is. And he's really doing the best that he can in this really horrible situation that he's in. So he's also in a cell, pointing to the title of the episode. So Dwight's in a cell because he's captive by Negan in a way that Daryl still isn't. And Daryl's still fighting. And we find that Dwight did it at the end because he cared for his wife. He wanted to protect his wife. So that's why he does what he does. And so you saw when Negan offered him a chance at the bar, the fun bar, he said you can pick anybody you want as long as he says yes. just a little bit throwback to the comic book. In the comic book, Negan, the dude's a monster. Don't get me wrong. He has morally, he does whatever he wants. But there's one thing Negan does not condone in the comic books. That's sexual violence. So as monstrous as Negan is, he still has a code. He's like, I'll beat you to death with Lucille and bash your brains out. But sexual violence is a no-no. So that's why he said you can have anybody you want as long as she says yes. So you got to respect the fact that he even Negan has a code. So being a monster, being completely crazy and a madman, okay, but sexual violence is a no-no. So that's what he was implying there. That's what he said, as long as she says yes. So it's weird because he got Dwight's wife to marry him. And obviously it's blackmail. That's what we can call it, right? It has to be. It's blackmail at this point. But even that blackmail, she has to accept and give herself freely to Negan. So it looks like that's what happened. And you saw when Negan said, "You don't have to go after that runner. You're better than that. You can do. Somebody else could do that." Let's talk about that fat guy for a second. He said that fat guy could go chase after him. So being Negan's people must be really good, because this guy was pretty big. You wouldn't think that in an apocalyptic situation with zombies where food is scarce, somebody could be that big. So I'd be good if I was working for Negan. That's what that tells me. So Dwight says, no, I want to go do it. So he goes to fetch this guy. And this guy basically, he lays it out. He was also a captive of Negan, and he got tired of dealing with it, and he'd rather be dead. And at the end, you think that Dwight's just going after this guy because he wants to run away from the situation with Negan. He doesn't want to be close to him. But then we find out that when he catches this guy, he really wanted to go after him because I think deeply he would take it easy on him. Like, yeah, it looks like Dwight is definitely Negan's man. But even so, he didn't kill the guy. You saw that the guy was walking back, mostly unharmed when Dwight caught him. And when he killed him, it was actually an act of mercy. It wasn't that Dwight was being vengeful or he was upset. The guy dropped his bike. Come on, he dropped his motorcycle right on the floor and chased after this guy and caught him. And on the way back, he shot him in the back, and it was an act of mercy. Now, you saw that he had to bring his body back to prove to Negan that he caught him. But at the end, it was an act of mercy. You see that Dwight, he's really doing the best he can in this situation. And the more you see his interactions with Daryl, you know he's breaking him, one, because who's more experienced than Dwight to break this guy, because he was Dwight. I mean, who's more experienced than Dwight to break Daryl, because he was Daryl at one point. Dwight was where Daryl was. Only thing is that Daryl points it out to him. I don't have anyone at this point. Daryl thinks he doesn't have anybody to lose, so he's willing to sacrifice himself for his pride and what little humanity he has. While Dwight still has to think about his wife, has to think about all these people who live with him. So Dwight's actually being, I'm not going to call him a good guy, but he's being the best man he can in this situation. Looks like Negan has everybody trapped. You saw when they caught, there was a moment where Daryl was going to make a break for it, and I'm like, yeah, it's going to turn into Norman Reedus' ride. Like, he was about to hop on his motorcycle and be out. Like, I thought, like, yeah, he's going to escape. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this chick, the Ghost Whisperer, shows up, and she's like, don't leave. It can always be worse. Like, where did she come from? So then he's about to hop on his bike, and obviously Negan shows up with his crew, and you see how cultish things are. Who are you? I'm Negan. I'm Negan. I'm Negan. He's Negan. So you can just see that he has everybody like wham zam, like they're all under his spell, and Negan's word is what goes. And that's what basically the episode showed you, that these people are all controlled by Negan. And as bad as the saviors are, maybe they wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't for Negan. Like, they're all kind of trapped in a cell as well. So we have Daryl in a cell, we have Dwight in a cell, we have Dwight's wife in a cell, and we have all these people living with Negan. All these saviors are kind of in a cell as well. So this cell's pretty big. And as the episode unraveled, we just see how much power Negan has over these people. And it's to the point where they're not just scared of living, but they're also scared of leaving. They feel like there's nowhere else they can go, because Negan's going to find them. And whoever works for Negan is Negan. So basically, that's what that is. And did you see that Daryl, he was doing, I'm not saying doing good, but he was in his cell and he was dealing with it. And the one thing that broke him, when you saw in episode 1 of season 7, they took pictures of Glenn when he was all smushed on the ground. It was horrible. And Abraham, I wonder what were they taking pictures for. I also wonder how they had batteries for the cameras. But you saw that Dwight was able to watch TV, so they must have some type of generator. Now, what the heck is that? Now they must have some type of generator, right? So we saw that he threw a Polaroid in there, and the one thing that finally got to Daryl, it wasn't the abuse, it wasn't the cold cell, it wasn't the dog food. It was the thought that he cost Glenn his life, and that's when he finally broke down. And you saw the music finally changed, and the music was about crying, and that's exactly what happened. Daryl started crying, and at that point you thought, wow, Dwight finally broke Daryl. But at the end, we find out, no, he did not break Daryl. Daryl's still not broken. And the only thing that's going to break Daryl is if somebody else's life is in jeopardy. And I think that's what the next episode is going to happen. Like, maybe Negan's going to grab someone else to balance and weigh against Daryl. Because Negan, he seems like a really sick dude. Like, he gets off on breaking people. And you saw how he broke Rick with making him think he's gonna have to cut his son's arm off. So maybe he'll even kidnap someone just to hold against Daryl, because he needs that counterbalance to break him. So maybe that's something we're gonna see in the next episode. But definitely we saw that. Let me see what else. So Dwight's been victimized so much by Negan. Looks like Negan took his wife. He took half his face. He's taking whatever humanity he had. And when he comes out finally and he sees that guy on the fence, the runner who he brought back, I think it's symbolism that even in death, Negan still has his hold on this man, because even his dead corpse is still trapped in Negan's world and wasn't able to escape. So he's in a cell as well. So this episode definitely it shed a lot of light on the Saviors. Before, we just thought the Saviors were just these evil guys who were just, pillaging and taking what they can. But it looks like they're victims also, and they're also in a cell of the construct that Negan built. And Norman is definitely, Norman Reed is his character. Daryl's definitely in a cell, and Dwight's in a cell. The only person who seems to be outside the cell right now is Negan, and he seems to be living pretty good. And he seems to be having a good old time and enjoying being Negan, right? So this was episode 7. I'm sorry, this is episode. So this was episode 3 of season 7, The Cell. They didn't pick up at the end. They didn't pick up where they left off of episode 1, because we didn't see what happened to Rick's group when they went back. I'm still interested in seeing what happened to Rick's group when they went back to Alexandria. What was everybody's reaction to what just happened? It looks like that's what we're gonna see in the next episode. And we didn't see what happened at the end of the Kingdom also. So this episode was kind of continuing episode 1, but not really. And the Walking Dead writers love doing that, just circling around and just keeping us at the edge of our seat. So definitely looking forward to seeing what happens in the next episode. Does Daryl get out of the cell? Is Negan going to find some other leverage to use against him? Is Dwight ever going to get some balls to go against Negan again? We're going to have to wait to find out. This is The Tone Show, and I'm out.